Ferdinand Marcos Junior sworn in as 17th Philippines president at the National Museum in Manila.
On his speech after being sworn in, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. called for unity and rejecting the politics of division. He also said he offended none of his political rivals in this campaign. He also concerned on some issues in Philippines, including jobs, fair wages, personal safety, and national strength. Marcos Jr. is in fact the son of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos and succeeds Rodrigo Duterte, whose daughter Sara Duterte Carrillo serves as Philippines' 15th vice president to accompany Marcos Jr. Shortly after being inaugurated, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has sworn in his new cabinet. So far, there are 25 names elected by President Marcos Jr. to set up his cabinet. President Marcos Jr. has been very careful appointing economic team as Philippines puts economy as priority amid disruptive global economic trend. Philippines' GDP was deeply contracted 9.5% in 2020 amid COVID-19 pandemic.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will obey the laws.
However, protesters took to the streets of Manila on Thursday as President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte were due to take office.
Protesters rejected Philippines' new leaders and reminded people on Duterte's law enforcement, chanting, "Never again to martial law." Protesters warned that Marcos Jr. is the son of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos, who took 36 years of power. Last election's result was shocking democracy in Philippines by far. Public holiday, monuments, and the Philippine Constitution itself stand as reminders of his father's tyrannical rule.
Kain sa ating bansa. Siyempre, i-prioridad, isa-priority sa